Section 11. ADRE Updates, Rule Changes, and Licensee Responsibilities. Arizona Market Introduction. From Disclosure to Staying Current. In Section 9, we focused on disclosure and why known facts, financing issues, environmental concerns, and required notices must be handled carefully. Now we move into a bigger professional responsibility, staying current with ADRE updates, rule changes, forms, policies, and licensing requirements. Real estate law is not frozen in time. What was considered normal practice years ago may not be acceptable today. That is why Arizona licensees must continue learning even after they receive their license. Why ADRE updates matter. The Arizona Department of Real Estate regulates real estate licensees, brokers, schools, advertising, documents, compensation disclosures, public reports, and professional conduct. When ADRE updates rules, those updates directly affect daily real estate practice. The 2025 rulemaking was especially important because ADRE added one new rule and amended 55 rules across multiple articles. It was also the department's first major rulemaking since 2005. The purpose was to incorporate statutory changes, improve clarity, and modernize language to reflect current department practices. That means agents cannot rely only on what they learned when they first became licensed. The story, but we've always done it this way. Imagine an agent named Chris. Chris has been licensed for years and is confident because they have closed many transactions. Chris uses the same advertising templates, same disclosure habits, same file checklist, and same social media language from years ago. Then ADRE updates advertising rules involving electronic media, AI, and renderings. Chris keeps posting AI-enhanced property images without proper disclosure because everyone does it. That is where outdated practice becomes a compliance problem. The issue is not whether Chris intended to violate the rule. The issue is whether the advertising was accurate, clear, and compliant under today's standards. How the 2025 rule changes impacted licensees. The 2025 ADRE updates touched several areas that connect directly to what we've already studied in this course, including licensure, education, advertising, compensation, documents, and professional conduct. The rulemaking also added R428-307 for inactive licenses, and updated rules such as R428-502 on advertising, R428-701 on compensation sharing disclosure, R428-802 and R428-803 on documents and contract disclosures, and R428-1101 through R428-1103 on licensee duties and broker supervision. In simple terms, these updates remind licensees that compliance is not just about knowing one rule. It is about understanding how advertising, disclosure, documents, compensation, and supervision all work together. Advertising and modern media. Earlier in the course, we discussed advertising risk. The updated rules clarified electronic media advertising and added modern terminology involving AI and property renderings. Best practice. If a photo, rendering, AI image, video, flyer, or online post could mislead the public, fix it before it goes live. Professional conduct and licensee duties. The updated law book identifies R428-1101 as licensee duties. A licensee owes a fiduciary duty to the client, must protect and promote the client's interests, and must also deal fairly with all other parties. The rule also requires written disclosure of material information, including a party's possible inability to perform, known adverse material facts, material defects, and liens or encumbrances. This ties directly back to our disclosure section. If you know something material, do not hide it. Broker supervision and office policies. The 2025 rule updates also addressed broker supervision. R4-28-1103 requires designated brokers to establish systems for monitoring compliance with statutes, rules, and brokerage policies. The rule discussion included progressive discipline for managing violations of brokerage policies that also involve statutory requirements or prohibitions. For brokers, this means policies should not sit in a binder collecting dust. They should be reviewed, updated, trained on, and enforced. I didn't know is not a defense. One of the most dangerous phrases in real estate is, I didn't know. A licensee is expected to know the laws and rules that govern the license. If ADRE changes a rule, updates a form, or clarifies a responsibility, the licensee must make a reasonable effort to stay informed. Best practice: review ADRE communications, attend office meetings, read broker updates, complete meaningful CE, and ask questions before problems happen. Best practices for agents and brokers. Agents should regularly review ADRE updates, brokerage policy changes, advertising requirements, disclosure duties, license renewal requirements, and transaction document procedures. Brokers should update office policies, train agents on rule changes, document attendance at trainings, monitor advertising, review transaction files, and enforce written policies consistently. Compliance is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing habit. Closing thought. This section brings the course forward into today's standard. Good real estate practice is not just knowing what the rule used to say. It is knowing what the rule says now. If earlier sections taught us how to advertise, disclose, present offers, and document transactions, Section 11 reminds us that every one of those duties must be updated as ADRE updates the rules. Online discussion question 1. Why can outdated real estate practices create compliance problems? Answer: because ADRE rules, forms, policies, and legal standards change over time. A practice that was common years ago may not meet today's requirements. Question 2. Why is "I didn't know" not a strong defense in a compliance issue? Answer: because licensees are expected to stay informed about the laws and rules that govern their license. Question 3. What should brokers do when ADRE rules change? Answer: brokers should update policies, train agents, monitor compliance, document training, and enforce policies consistently.